According to Foucault, modernity gives definition to, or makes the modern speaking subject, a self-contradictory and anthropocentric double, as well as modernity gives definition to, or makes modern knowledge, a self-contradictory and anthropocentric form of knowledge. We are thus made into subjects, the speaking subject, the productive subject, and the subject of biology, whether we divide or objectivize ourselves, or we are divided or objectivized by others, into the mad, the sane, the healthy, the sick, and the criminals and the good boys. We all turn ourselves into subject. We are subject to the power. Habermas thinks Foucault abstains from dealing with texts and gives up all hermeneutic. It seems that Habermas misses the point.
The idea of the speaking subject to become the center of the statement. And that's always the case in, at least in English. I assume it would be the same as German and French in the phonetic languages. When the speaker takes over the place, the speaker immediately becomes a speaking subject. So the speaking subject takes over the place, at the same time has to justify his own or her own legitimacy to be the speaking subject. But in the meantime, if you look at the surrounding, then you have so many other speaking subjects who stare at you. So now you automatically get into the contention that everybody is fighting everybody else. So whatever is said is always open to interpretation. That's just a part of the discourse of particularly modern phonetic language. And there's really nothing you can do. The second issue here is that Habermas tries to touch a little bit about the language, the phonetic language becomes a subject matter itself. So the discourse becomes a discourse of language to language. That is to say, that the language used to be a device to deliver or articulate something else. In other words, language ultimately should be just a tool. It's same as a container to put your spaghetti sauce. It doesn't matter what you put in there. That's what a language is. Language has no significance, whereas a container has no significance because it's the sauce inside. That's what our attention should be paid to. Now, of course, there's a difference now. You have a Ruware container, and then you have a plastic container. Back then, the Ruware was very expensive to be made, and still worth a lot more than a regular, cheap ceramic container. Still, it's only a ceramic container. You can't say that's going to be something more than it is. But we have the same situation now. We need to put the things in a container. And you absolutely cannot put your spaghetti sauce in a Ruware container. It just costs too much. And you don't really have the heart to do that. If you think of yourself special, you buy French, what do you call that? Le Creuset. And, you spend $200. Well, I just want to buy this to put in my spaghetti sauce. That's fine. But in the essence, that a Le Creuset container is not really more than a plastic container. So for that part, we still are as normal human beings. And we can tell the difference. We say, well, yes, you have money, you're a fancy person, and you want a Le Creuset to put your spaghetti sauce. I understand that. I have no money. I'm just going to buy a cheap $5 plastic container and put in my spaghetti sauce there. So the question is not about container now. The question is about whose spaghetti sauce tastes better. That needs to be studied and tried. Now we're back in the normal human situation. But in the language, in the discourse now, that's where we're stuck. We're stuck in the container. We're not in the sauce anymore. And we're stuck in the container, and we can't even tell what time we're talking about a plastic container versus what time we're talking about a Ruware container, or, for that matter, a Le Creuset container. And so we spend all this time trying to verify, are you talking about a Le Creuset container or you're talking about the plastic container? And we've completely forgot our mission is to discuss, to find out how good this spaghetti sauce is. To a point, We don't even care about the spaghetti sauce anymore. That's something else. We're not going to discuss that this time. You're very familiar with this kind of phrase, right? We're only going to discuss container. But the problem is we have a very hard time to define whether it's a Le Creuset or it's a plastic container. Because our language itself is undermined by our intention and by our ongoing discourse itself. That's where we got stuck. Habermas does not want to go that deep. And he's just trying to brush over, it's not a big deal. Let's go back to our traditional human science. Human science is unreliable now. He does not want to go there. But, he has no choice but to talk about the issue. Avoid, distract you, and get into something else back in the course that he's trying to talk about. And you have to be aware of that.